All right. Hey there, guys. This is Sharon, and we are doing the reset. We're talking about our 30-day reset. And without further ado, we're going to jump in. As I've gone over different things in the reset this week, we talked about focus and how to direct verb your focus now. We talked about momentum. And today we're going to add in some more of that can and will. Is capability and willability the same thing? I don't think it is. But I have three dynamic individuals with me, three dynamic women with me who are going to speak. You may not see them. They may not be able to give you eye contact because this is impromptu. So thank them for just squeezing me in. Yes, thanks for access. And I want to let you know that all of these women are killing it in their own right. They're all business owners. They're all killing it in their own right, in their own lanes. And so we just want to hear from people who do know how to reset focus, who do know how to focus on what needs to be focused on. And so, hey, thanks for joining me, Teresa, Dr. Kathy, Karen. I'm jumping right in. Tell me, like, focus. What do you do when it's time to reset your focus? Like, how big is focus as it relates to getting things done?
Okay, I'm gonna jump in. This is Dr. Kathy. We've been in this whole trying to figure it out and make it work thing so far. And when it's time to absolutely turn back and refocus, one of the things that I do is I go back and I read my original vision, my original purpose. And when I start doing that, that really brings me back into the point to say, what have I done for this lately? Am I actually refocusing on this thing? Am I moving forward? What am I doing? And that does a couple things. That brings me back into focus and back into putting it in my view, but it also gives me that willingness and that I want to do to make me go forward.
All right. Anybody else? Focus. What do you think of when you hear the word focus?
I agree with Dr. Kathy. Sorry about that, Karen. I just chimed in. I agree with Dr. Kathy. And I think basically what it comes down to on focus, I look at my vision, but then I also, if I'm just really kind of feeling a little spent and feeling a little distracted, I go back to the to-do list and I line it out and I make sure that I just continue to keep pushing forward and continue with forward momentum. And so I don't try to stop. I still keep going and I go back to a to-do list if it has to get tedious.
Excellent, excellent. Miss Sherry, what do you do?
I'm just gonna say what they said.
Okay.
I mean, they hit the nail on the head. You just have to stop. You have to go back and, like they said, look at what your original, your starting point was and where you are. If you're on target, and if not, just close out everything else and just continue to stay on target. It's okay to stop, but just keep going.
Yep. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you guys so much for that. As it relate. Wait, you're muted. You're muted. I can't hear you.
Who muted?
Karen is muted. She's still talking, but she's
no. I'm
okay.
Through.
All right. So,
one other thing on that focus is like the to-do list, the vision, but sometimes you need to just sometimes you need to take your breath. Like I think Sherry just said that, where you have to, sometimes you need to take a pause and take a breath so you can get your focus back. And sometimes you need to rest a little bit.
Yes. Self-care is.
Oh, yeah. Very good.
And I want to say this because everyone on here is a business owner. Sometimes with business owners, we don't do that. We're almost at burnout before we get to it, or our back is against the wall, or we begin to get frustrated and short with people as we're speaking to them. And in order for you to be even your best for others, sometimes you do have to say, you know what? Take a step back, as she just said. Take a breather. Get the rest. Do what you need to do as it relates to even your self-care. Because in order for you to be the best for others, you have to be at your best. I mean, no shade, it's just necessary. All right, so that's focus, because a lot of people are having to start their own business. Sometimes you want it, sometimes it's born out of necessity. Now let me come off of that and go into, we talked about focus. Now let's talk about momentum. I believe momentum is a cruel mistress. I just think people think I want momentum, but you're getting momentum whether it's in the areas you want it in or not. You hitting snooze every time, and you're building momentum with snooze. So how do we channel momentum? How do you make momentum work for you? And scene.
That's really good. Matter of fact, I'm gonna come off camera for that one. When I really like what you said about what you do build your momentum.
Yeah, momentum is asexual, man. Momentum is just a word.
And you have to realize and remember, and I really like that momentum is going with the vision, because even when you get to that point where you don't think you have momentum, you do something that I really like, and it's called do something daily. And it doesn't matter how small it is or how large it is, as long as you do something towards your goal, then that's still a part of building momentum. And if I have to take a step back, and if I have to breathe, and if I have to re-evaluate the vision to make it more clear, if I have to call LaSharon and say, I need coach right now, I don't need friend, I'm still building momentum. So I think I love the word, but I hate the word, because momentum sounds so large. But even to try to get to that place, you have to keep moving forward, which is momentum.
Yeah. How do you make momentum work for you, Teresa?
I try to keep it in motion. I basically, I had a circumstance this week where a lot of things were. On Monday, I felt like I was reaping my harvest. On Tuesday, I had a bunch of things, had a deal that lost 50 grand on that I didn't even know was a problem. And I was like, what the crap? Had a property that was broken into twice, all kinds of stuff that could have easily stopped my momentum. I had 8 crews going on different projects. And honestly, my initial thought was, man, I have 2 more meetings today. I might need to just go home and call these meetings off, because they're important meetings, and my momentum is a little weird right now. But for me, how I feed my momentum, I have a lot of people who work for me. And as long as I continue to feed them so that they can keep going forward, so that we're going towards the direction then that I'm going for, even if my day gets a little sidetracked as the owner, I can still, if my team is successful that day, I'm still moving forward. And so I keep my momentum going by continually feeding my team, so my team can continue to perform for me and keep us on track. And I steer the course, but it takes an army. And so my army keeps marching. Even if I have things that pull me back, they're still marching forward, and I give them what they need so that they can continue. And I consider my momentum continuing to move forward if they're moving forward. So it's not like everything stops.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that everybody is saying we continue to move. Y'all can't see my hands, but that is definitely where do something daily came from. I was like, sometimes momentum is a big word, and you think about everything that you have to do, and that can overwhelm you. But if you focus and you already have, like Teresa says, she goes back to her to-do list, that brings her out of to just concrete actions and concrete steps. And if she does that, even if only 3 things get checked off that list, but she's a peak performer, so it's probably going to be more. But even if there's only 3 things, even if it's only 1 thing, it's something that has happened, and you're still making movement. And I just want to let you know, momentum is a cruel mistress, man. Listen, there will be so many, like I just said, you want to take time for yourself, self-care, you do, but it's self-care so that you can continue to peak perform. You have to know your circle. Sometimes your circle will give you counsel that is not counsel that's not counsel that supports where you are or where you want to go. It may be counsel that comes from where they are and the intentions are good, but it could be counsel that would have you where they are and not where you're wanting to go. So protect the momentum you want to have. And reset. That's what we're doing now. This 30-day reset. Reset that momentum you don't want to have. Even if you got to set it away from you for a moment. Get it off. Now, here's the last thing I want to say, because, again, this is America. We have to build controlled progress. That's what one of the comments says. Yes. Yes. So now we want to talk about, do you equate the word can with will? a lot of times I hear people talking, people I'm coaching, people who are in management positions who have an eye watching somebody else instead of watching what they should be doing. And they're like, well, I can do this. Almost like, why didn't they choose me? But just because you can, does that equal will? You know, I can, as I said, I can go on a diet. I can get up and go jogging for 2 miles today. Will I? You know, sometimes we want people to judge us based on our can ability, but we forget that our will ability has been non-existent. We haven't actually demonstrated or exemplified those behaviors. So I'm asking you ladies, as it relates to partnerships, as it relates to your reset, and then people who you choose partnerships with, 2-part questions. Do you equate can with the word will? I see Karen already nodding no. Tell me about it, Karen.
No. Because, I mean, you hear people say, I can do this all the time. I can. Yes, you can. But are you willing to put in that effort to make sure that it gets done? So, no, I definitely don't put the two together. Because, yeah, you can, which is just thinking it, saying it, but willing to do it is applying it.
Yeah. Anybody else that relates to anybody else on the can and will?
I don't agree that they are together either. And I have to say that a lot of times when someone says, I can do that and I will do that, I have to make sure that we have the same vision on the will. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't have what I want done, that's not really doing much for me. Right. So if you come into that partnership saying I can and I will, but you don't do what, even the minimum of what I need as the other side of that partnership, then that's really throwing me backwards. So that can and will is not doing me any good.
I kind of think I definitely agree with the ladies that they're different. I remember as a kid with I was on this softball team as a little girl, and I was the shortest and the youngest one, and I made it up to the next league. So I was there, but it was kind of like that movie Rudy, where he keeps going and and the guy kind of just said, well, just keep saying, I think I can. And there's that little story as a kid, I think I can. And it's like, can starts the thought process of, yeah, I can do that. I think I can do that. If they can do it, I can do it. Wow. It's like starting that deal. When you say I will, now you're getting to taking a step towards action. And then after I will is okay, now we got to look at that timeline. I think Dr. Kathy was talking about okay, yeah, just because you will do it, we need to see if we're in alignment on when you're going to do it. Let's get our timeline going. And then the next step is, hey, I'm doing it. And you're just doing it. And you're already in action on that thing. So I think it starts with I can, because if you don't believe you can, you're definitely not going to do it. You're not going to get into the will. Once you know I will do it, then you're going for it. It's like you're getting that next step, getting ready to take that step. And then I am doing it is you're in action and you're in motion, which then builds your momentum.
I like that.
I do too. And that's good. I agree. That's what's can has to do with capability. And again, right now, this is the reset time. And so what I want to encourage individuals to do, and what I'm going to ask the panel to weigh in on before we let you all enjoy your Saturday, this is day 8 of the reset. We do it in the 8th month because that's a number of new beginnings, and that means something to me. And today is day 8, so it's new beginnings twice. This is the perfect time for you to make the adjustments, changes, and sometimes a U-turn where you need a U-turn. But as it relates to the reset, for people who need to have their can and their will align, what would you say to them? Especially if you know that you're hearing conversations where people are saying, well, I can do that, and they selected someone else over me. Can is your capability. Will has to do with your character, your consistency, your follow through. Will has to do with the things that make a business successful. Oh, I know it hurts. I can see people cringing right now, like I put some salt on a slug. Yeah, that will. We want to be judged by the capability, but it's the will ability. Because I can teach somebody a capability, but that will ability. So, ladies, how would we help somebody? Y'all are smiling and nodding. Whatever you have to say to whatever I just said, we want to help people be able to reset.
Yeah, you can do it, but are you willing, as Sharon was saying, to put in that extra effort? Because you probably could do the job, and you probably would have been able to get that promotion? Have you been willing to put in all those extra things that come with that? So I would say write down what your goals are and how you plan on achieving those goals. So you know you can do this, but what are you willing to do to get to that next level by not just putting it on paper, but actually demonstrating it, whatever it is that you need to do, the extra hours, the extra research, but go for whatever it is and not just do it with your mouth, do it with your actions.
That's good. And I will come through with the encouraging piece. Don't get frustrated and don't get discouraged, but keep it moving. You know, if you got that can, will, and do, just know in that moving from that can to that will, you know it. Someone else may not know it, but if you keep demonstrating and having the integrity behind it, it will happen. It will happen. So that's my encouragement.
I'm looking at with can, will, and do. Basically, like as I evaluate deals that come to my desk, you know, on any proposals or investments or whatever, I'm looking at, well, can I do this project? Oh, absolutely, I can do it. Do I really want to do it? That's the question I go on the will. So do I want to do it is the question I ask myself before I say I will do it. And, you know, and now, you know, there's other factors. It's not always the dollar that's the factor. You got to look at what your energy factor is. Like I have a project right now and it's like, it's going to take me a year to do this project and it's going to take a lot of me. And there's other low hanging fruit that I could do that I could make just as much money, but I could make money now instead of having a year to make that money. So, you know, it's like, how much effort am I willing to put in to do this project? So, I mean, you know, it's easy to get like hungry and just anything that comes across, say, okay, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. But sometimes when you do that, you lose your momentum because you get sidetracked because you're not focused, going back to your vision, and you're not doing things within your wheelhouse that are making your business solid. So, and your business can be anything. You could be an employee and still have a business because there's the business of life. And if you're getting distracted on your business of life, you're still distracted. So you got to have that focus so that you can maintain your momentum. And sometimes you got to say no, and it's okay to say no. No is okay. So anyhow, that's where I'm at.
I love that. I love that business of life right there. I'm sorry, I had to put that in the chat box. The business of life. Thanks, Teresa, because that's true. And so with this reset, listen, there's so many things as far as can and will. I want to let you know that a lot of times we don't recognize that that's where the gap is. That's where the gap is between success and failure. And listen, failure is inevitable, but so is success, okay? Don't just get married to one instance of anything. It is that whole progressive thing, but that's where the gap is. A lot of times we're like, well, I can do this. And people go after low-hanging fruit, and they're like, I can. But will you? And is it what you really wanted to will to do? Is that where you wanted your will to be? You know, maybe something else comes along that you really want to do, but because you've willed to everything else, now you have to let the opportunity you really wanted pass.
That's what I do.
Message. I'm just going to let that hang for a moment because that just hit somebody. The opportunity you want is there, but because you've willed to all these other things, you're like, listen, this is where the gap is, guys. This is what the reset is for. Yes, you can, Teresa. Whatever it is, yes, you can. Just jump right in.
Okay. It's interesting that you just said that about failure. I was just talking to this week several times. We were talking to different people that this came up with failure. And my first $1 million lesson was about losing. And so one of the things that happened is, I'm not going to go into the story, but what the outcome was this. A friend of mine came to visit and we went to the Will Rogers Museum, and I picked up this little stone. It's like a little glass. It maybe cost $2, but I still have this thing. And this is over 15 years ago. And I have it on a special shelf in my house. I used to carry it with me. Then it was on my desk. And it's a quote by Will Rogers. And it's about, this is what the quote says. The quote says, when you lose, make sure you're ahead, because you're going to lose. There are times it's just not going to work out. There's things that are out of your control. There's things, maybe people misrepresent something and you bought the story and all the facts checked out, but there was lies in there. It's hard to protect against lies. And so there's going to be opportunities in your lifetime and whatever you're doing that you're going to lose, and you can let it get you down or whatever, but you've got to hedge your bets and always make sure that when you lose, you're ahead. And I can give you examples of that. And some people might not understand what that means, but it means that you're making sure if you were gambling and you went in with $100 and you got up to $500, you put $200 in your pocket. If you lose that other $300, you're still ahead. You got your 100 plus another 100. So make sure that you prepare that whenever you lose, that you're ahead.
Yeah. And even look at those things that, when you fall, because you said $1 million lesson. And I think of a lesson that, it could have made someone that didn't have that willpower, that kept saying, I can, keep growing, just shut down, because it was a situation that happened that it just caught me off site, someone that you trust, and it had to do with a financial crunch. But with that, I had to reset, and I looked at what I needed to do to make sure that all my I's were dotted, my T's were crossed, that it didn't happen again. So I felt like I was fortunate to have $1 million loss and $100 million loss. I felt like that I was able to reset, like I said, the position, and it just made me go stronger. Like, well, that will never happen again,
Yeah.
So are you saying in that case, did the higher price tag make you give it more attention?
No.
Okay.
It could have been $1. If I lose $1, I'm gonna figure out how I can make that dollar gain back $2 from that $1 loss. So no.
All right. Excellent. Really, that's all I have today. I wanted to. Well, I don't know that I definitely heard. How do we recommend someone resets their can and their will? Do you guys have, like, if someone was asking, say, man, I really like what you're doing and I want to have my own business and all that, but I keep doing such, what counsel, since they're asking you, and I'm asking, what counsel in a practical way do you have for people to reset, to reposition themselves, to, ready, set, go? If they're in the ready, set stage or go stage, what counsel would you give them? And here's the hard part. I don't want anybody to repeat what the person in front of them said, because there's so many practical ways. Mm-hmm. Last question, and then I'm so grateful for y'all for just jumping on doing this with me. What counsel would you give that person?
I'm gonna say, listen, when you ask someone, when you say you're looking at someone that you feel like is where you want to be, take the buts out of it. Because whatever you're doing, if it's not working and you're saying, I want to do this, then quit putting those barriers up there. Well, I don't know if I can, or but listen to what they're saying. And everything that they're saying may not be workable, the best thing for you. But, if they say insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. So if you keep hitting that brick wall, stop and try something different.
All right. Take the bus out of it. Stop and try something different. Anyone else?
I got one right here on your can, will, and do. I think the biggest thing to reset is on can. First, you got to look at your can, and you need to be honest with yourself, because oftentimes our ego inflates and we think we can do more. We all think we're superhuman or whatever. It's like, hey, I can lose weight. So I start the diet tomorrow and I got to lose 100 pounds. You're not going to lose 100 pounds tomorrow. It takes a minute to lose 100 pounds. I've lost 180 pounds. I know it takes a minute. So the deal is that when you are, you really have to be honest with yourself. So many people lie to themselves and are not, even the people that's getting that promotion. Oh, I could have done that and I can do this. But I mean, do you show up on time? Do you take care of business? Do you handle business in a timely order? Why did you get passed over? And be realistic and see where you need to improve. So understanding your can and being honest with yourself is going to help you decide whether you will do it or not. So if you're honest with yourself on an opportunity, you may decide, you know what? I know this opportunity is in front of me, but I don't want it because it's not really in my wheelhouse. Like I could manipulate some things to make it work and change this and squeeze myself here and push myself there. And sometimes you need to do that. And, sometimes you just need to go for it and do it. Other times, you really need to be honest with yourself about what resources you really have to bring to the table. And then once you do that, you can decide what your will is. The will is, am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? Right. And once you make that choice, then you just got to get on the horse and do it. So as long as you can get on the horse and ride it, that's what you do. Otherwise, and sometimes you're going to fall off. And when you fall off, you got to get back up, dust yourself off, and get back on the horse. It might not be the same horse. It might be a different horse. It just depends on what your situation is. So you got to figure that out. So when you're resetting, we all reset all the time. There's things that we have to reset from. Sometimes it's just a mindset. Sometimes it's a physical reset. Sometimes it's an emotional reset. Sometimes it's a spiritual reset. Sometimes we get lost in ourselves. And so, whatever it is you're going through, you got to figure out what the deal is. And then you decide, okay, can I do this? Will I do this? Am I going to do this? And then that's your process.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
I love that.
Yeah, that's real good. For me, I accountability partners for me help me reset, because I know one thing that I am is kind of hard-headed and I'm very competitive. So I compete with myself all the time. So if I've got somebody that I'm accountable to, or, even if I'm just saying, hey, I did accomplish this, and this, and that today, I never, just my personality, I never want to get on the phone and go, I didn't accomplish nothing, and I wasn't sick, and I wasn't nothing. So I have an accountability partner that I usually go into to say, I've done this, and this, and that keeps me going for the next day. But that's my personality. I don't know how anybody else's personality is.
All right.
I like what you said, Dr. Kathy. And sometimes with that accountability partner, it can be a friend, it can be a business associate, it can be a consultant, it can be a coach, but you need someone to eliminate the BS factor. And they need to call it on you. If you're thinking, I can do this, but you're not really being honest with yourself on what the situation is. So that accountability partner helps you with the BS factor, and they may need to call it on you.
Yeah.
With me, I just want to say, because we're 27 minutes in, I told these ladies 15 minutes. This has been some great nuggets. I encourage you to take notes. Take notes. Some of the places where this is being streamed, you won't have the ability to share it at all. But take notes. With me, yes. Accountability, yes. Looking at it, reevaluating the can, as they said, what Ms. Cherry said. I want to say on this part right here, the BS factor. With my reset, I listen. Karen said, remove the buts. Teresa said, reevaluate your can. Kathy said, have the accountability. I believe in all of those. I listen. Karen calls them butts. I call them excuses. Like somebody told me a long time ago, if somebody put Teresa is tough. Yes, she is. She's awesome. Someone told me years ago, and it was life-changing for me. When you're having a conversation with people, there are some people who listen, and if you come up with 3 excuses in that conversation, you may not even be aware of it because you're so used to looking for reasons why something won't work instead of why it would. But that person makes a decision while they're listening to the person. That person doesn't even know. But the audience of the buts, the audience of the excuses, makes a decision, and it cuts off any business opportunities. They're still your friend. They're still going to hang with you. They're not looking to do business with you in any way, shape, or form, though, because in your mentality, you are still looking for why things don't work, not for why things do. So with my accountability individuals, and when I need to vet a situation, I select who I talk to. That's been something that has worked for me. I select who I talk to. You can be, I could have known you from 3rd grade, and I know you'll cut from me. You'll cut somebody if they say something about me. However, as it relates to anything I'm doing with my finances or me trying to move into a new business field or position myself in a new industry, I don't need to have that conversation with my person who will cut for me. They love me, y'all, and I love them. But I guard my ear during that season. Because during the season when you're making change and transition is there, people grab for anything in transition, even unintentionally. So I have to minimize conversation with folks. Because I can't do that information is not going to help me at this time. Does that make sense what I'm saying, guys?
Yep.
So when I reset, shoot. Listen,
Yeah, I get
Linda,
real quiet.
listen.
Get real quiet. Yep, me
Listen,
too.
I listen to people and they be like, you ain't saying nothing. I don't have nothing to say, because
Or you don't have nothing to say to them.
where they're speaking from at that point, like I can't bring
Right.
what's on my mind into this conversation because it will undermine it,
Mhm.
and like people who are hungry eat anything. So I have to guard my ear gate. I have to guard it. And so with that accountability, make sure it's the right accountability. Be sure you're willing to listen. If you ask somebody and they start talking and your feelings, you start shrinking in because your feelings are getting hurt, ask you what's hurting. Maybe
Right.
what's hurting is your lack of follow through. Maybe
Right.
what's hurting is the fact that they calling you on your bull, your BS. Yeah, I know it hurts. I'm actually selective listening, selective partnerships. So I'm actually finished. I think we're at the end of this, guys. It's been 31 minutes. I hope that you'll still take my calls in. No, I'm just clowning. I know you will. But thank you for sharing of your expertise. I'm done. Are there any final comments that you want to have? You don't have to have. Just
do it.
Yeah,
do it.
that's good. I like that.
Do something.
When
Go
you're
ahead.
being selective, don't just choose people who agree with whatever position you're putting in there. Make sure they're pragmatic and they're not just naysayers, but they're people that are really wise counsel, like Sharon was talking about. You definitely want some wise counsel.
Wise counsel.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Again, thanks, Karen, Cherry, Teresa, Dr. Martin. Thank you all so much. If y'all see these people anywhere and you have opportunity to talk to them or pull on their expertise, I encourage you to listen. It'll change your life. Y'all be safe and God bless. This is day 8 on the reset. Take it serious. Don't feed the deficit with proper nutrients. Come on, girl. Y'all enjoy this reset. Make this reset work for you. And don't be so concerned with external measures that you forget internally there's a compass that can really drive and direct you. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks